Welcome to PM Movie Recaps. Today's pick is a comedy and romance of 2019, Chichhor. If you're ready, let's enjoy the video. An empty hostel is seen in the middle of the night where everything is quiet. A man named Sexa walks on his toes and knocks on his friend's door. He tells Annie it's time for a dunk fight. They fill 2 buckets with water and start splashing each other. The whole apartment building students joins them with buckets full of water. They're having so much fun that they go and challenge some students from another section of the hostel. The scene abruptly cuts to an older Annie who is arriving at his house while the radio spokesperson is saying that the only thing people are left with are memories. He walks in and asks his valet if his son ate dinner. The valet responds his son is worried about his studies and hasn't eaten yet. And he walks in his son's bedroom with some food and tells him not to worry too much. For now, Raghav should enjoy his food because he's going to be living in a hostel soon, and the food they serve is not quite good. The next morning, Annie drives Raghav to his mother's house and it becomes apparent that they're divorced. They talk about his studies and Maya tells Raghav that he should not feel pressured. Later at night, Raghav has returned home and Annie has bought a bottle of alcohol for him and his son to celebrate, and the results of his exam are announced. He tells his son they need to enjoy it because memories are all that's left. Raghav meets with his friend and they check on their exam results. Raghav double checks his result, and he can't believe he failed. He studied so hard but didn't manage to pass. He's afraid everyone is going to view him as a loser. Since both of his parents are pretty successful while he's not. His friend tries to console him, but to no avail. Raghav can't stop crying and he walks to the balcony, where he lets himself fall backwards in order to commit the unthinkable. Raghav's parents are called in the hospital where Raghav's friends explains what happened. Maya blames Annie for not caring about Raghav and constantly being into meetings. Annie does not accept the accusation and he does not agree that he's an irresponsible father. When the nurses push Raghav's injured body through the hallway with a stretcher, his parents can't help but feel terror. The doctor calls them into his office and says they're doing everything they can to keep Raghav alive. They have performed several surgeries on him and they'll perform more if they need to do so. Annie asks to the doctor if they can see their son just for a couple of minutes. The doctor allows them to do so, but Annie is the one who gets in the room with him since Maya can't stand seeing her son in that condition. Annie and Maya are waiting for the son to get better, but the doctor has no good news for them. He says he has been several cases where patients in critical conditions survive because they have the will to live. But in Raghav's case his body's not responding. Almost like he does not want to live. Annie goes home and grabs a photo album. He stares at a picture where he stands side by side with his friends from college wearing t-shirts that compile the word losers. Annie goes back to the hospital and tells Maya that their son doesn't want to live because he thinks he's a loser, but he wants to explain to him that people attach the loser tag to themselves, they can get rid of it by themselves. Maya says Raghav can't hear him, but Annie wants to give it a try. He walks in the room and sits to Raghav's bedside. He starts telling his story how Annie himself was loser and all the friends he shared so many beautiful memories with were losers as well. The film takes us back to Annie's college years when he moved into a student's hostel. It was immediately assigned to a room in section H4, where all the losers used to stay. He talks about how he met Sexa and the fun they had together. He says that Sexa was the loser number 1 he met. Back to present, Raghav starts responding to the story and he gains consciousness. Annie tells Maya that Raghav likes his story, but he doesn't believe it completely. Annie communicates with Sexa and tells him about his son. Consequently, Sexa flies in India and visits Raghav and his parents, continuing with Annie's story. We see yet another flashback where Sexa says the problem in engineering college is the lack of females. There are only a handful of girls and the competition to get them is huge. Maya joins the college as well, and we see a short sequence where guys try to flirt with her all the time. Back to present, the doctor interrupts them and says Raghav needs to get some rest now. In the cafeteria, Sexa says they should also bring loser number 2 and number 3 to speak with Raghav. They are Mummy and Acid. They indeed visit the hospital and tell Raghav the story about how Annie spoke with Maya for the first time. Sexa and Acid ask Mummy and Annie to get some clothes from the females' hostel. On the way they met Maya, but Annie was too nervous to talk to her. Thankfully, Mummy was the one to do the talking, even though he was a nerd. That's when things got rolling for Maya and Annie. A short montage shows us how Annie and Maya gradually spent more and more time together. While in the present, the doctor tells Annie that his son's condition is stable for now. The band of friends are soon joined by yet another loser, Derek. Annie had met Derek back at the H4 section, and Derek explains why everybody calls the losers. There are some sports events taking place in the college every year, and the H4 department finishes into the last position every time. Derek and Annie agreed to try and make things change because the loser tag really hurts. Derek and Annie start some trials to find the best athletes among the H4, but most of them are not quite talented at sports. A short scene intervenes when the doctor tells Annie and Maya that the swelling in Raghav's brain is increasing its size. Annie takes his friends back at his place to treat them a meal and tells them about Raghav. He says he can't ask them to stay any longer because they all have their lives to return to. Derek says that usually families adjust to work schedule, this time work will have to adjust to family needs. He adds they started their story together and they will end it together. Back at the hospital, Derek continues the story and the film takes us back to the past. Derek, Annie and the rest of the losers try hard, but they don't win any games. Annie tells everybody that they don't want to win for real. They do, they will have to take an oath to give up the one thing they're most attached to. Mummy starts first and says he will not talk with his mother until the sports events end. Annie says he will not speak with Maya and Sexa says he will quit on consuming adult content. Derek will quit smoking and another friend of theirs, Bevda, will quit drinking alcohol. Although they commit their pledge, they don't win any games. And Bevda starts having some panic attacks due to the quitting of his addiction. Annie wonders if what they're doing is really worth it and Bevda says it is, because it's better losing something you are addicted to rather than losing yourself. Back to present, the doctor tells Annie that Raghav's situation is still not improving. Annie walks into Raghav's hospital room again and tells him that one thing he should learn from his stories is that he should never give up. The film takes up back the past where Annie gathers the H4 athletes and tells them they're going to use some tricks to win the games. The first trick will be about adding pressure to the opponents by cheering and trash talking. They give away some free milkshakes to each student that will join them and cheer for them. The tricks works as well as players from the other teams can concentrate and keep their minds in the game. Meanwhile, Maya is getting worried because Annie's avoiding her, but Sexa tells her that Annie has pledged to avoid her until the games are over. Everybody chose to give up on the thing they love the most. The second and third tricks are basically cheating and misdirection. H4 players manage to get themselves some wins by using dirty tactics, to even beat their hated rivals from H3 in a football match. Although they're doing well, Annie mentions that they need to keep up with good performances and get some gold medals in some sports. They find a new guy, Donda, to sign him up for the extra lightweight weightlifting contest. Donda weighs 44 kilos, but they need to bring him down to 42 kilos in order to get accepted in the weightlifting contest. They train him hard enough and Donda drops 2 kilos. Everybody thinks he's going to be the only athlete competing in that category, but they're wrong. A female athlete from H10 is also competing and Donda has to go against her. They go head to head and start lifting. Donda eventually wins the contest and becomes number 1. Back to present, the doctor tells Annie and Maya that the swelling inside Raghav's head is growing and they will probably need to operate him. He gives them a document to sign as a consent paper in case something goes wrong during the operation. The doctor also tells them that Raghav has to rest for tonight. Annie and the rest tell Raghav that they'll finish this story tomorrow. Raghav says that they have almost reached the ending, but Derek tells him not to worry since they're not going anywhere, and neither is he. Back at Annie's house, he's wondering if he has been a good father to Raghav. Everybody's moved by his emotional words and Maya admits that she has been way too harsh towards him and she thinks he's a good father. Meanwhile, Raghav's swelling suddenly worsens and his parents are called to the hospital. Everybody runs to the hospital and the doctor tells them he will need to operate Raghav in 15 minutes. Annie says he and his friends need to speak to Raghav for 10 minutes and tell him how the story ended. Although the doctor is reluctant, he allows them to do so. Everybody gathers around Raghav and they tell him how the story ended. H4 did try hard, but eventually they lost the final and most important game. They still lost to H3. Raghav says they must have felt like dying for losing after trying so hard. They tell him that it's not true because from that day on, they were no longer losers because they put their best efforts to do the best they can. Raghav is taken to the surgery room and the operation goes well. The next year Raghav is able to enter the engineering college and the film ends with him narrating that we are often too focused on winning and losing, success and failures that we forget how to live our lives. Thank you for watching, but before leaving please make sure that you click subscribe and turn on the notification so that you can enjoy watching more videos like this.